Hello everyone and welcome back to another weekly recap. Obviously, the season is starting this very week. It starts actually tomorrow from the day of this recording. And we got some banger matches coming along. APAC is starting, but with fewer matches. So I'm excited to get into it. Today, we're going to talk about the things that have happened leading into this week. And I'm also going to do my pick'ems at the very end. Sort of talk to you guys about who I'm choosing and who I'm looking forward to. But there is some housekeeping that I do want to get done as well. So first of all, in sort of business news, I know that's what you're all here for. There is an article that's come out and there's been some discourse coming through of the UK is blocking the Microsoft deal, the $69 billion Activision deal that is, having the mergers. It is going to harm potentially the cloud gaming space is what is being blocked for. Microsoft says it plans to appeal the decision. I'm not a business major or know anything about business. I've heard that, it could be appealed. People say that it's unlikely that it gets appealed. I don't fucking know, but, bad news bears, essentially, for the Microsoft acquisition deal as it is starting to run into some sort of opposition, which we were expecting to happen, but I don't really know what the end thing for that is. This article is quite interesting. If you want to give it a read, it sort of goes into the details a little bit more. It's on Bloomberg. Go check it out for yourself if you want more details, but I thought it was worth bringing up. So let's do some World Cup stuff as well, because Team USA has officially announced their roster. No, it was leaked in the past, but it is now officially out there. They got Kaluge and Super as tanks, Hydron Speedily Sugar-Free as DPS, and then OG and Ultraviolet as the only two supports. In reserve, they have Aspire, RuPaul, and Sam. So two DPS, one support to really round out. It hasn't really been explained how the reserves situation works of like, if we get to November, can they just sub one of their reserves in? If we end up in like a double flex support meta, could they put RuPaul alongside Ultraviolet and then they'll feel a little bit more comfortable? Give me some more confidence. But for the most part, I think this 7-player roster that they have right now is what I would have put forward as well. I think Sugar-Free, Hydron Speedily covers all the DPS quite well. Super as well, making his return out of retirement. He was actually probably the best main tank that trialed from the trials that we did watch, while Kaluge is able to play some of those off tanks. So, very solid roster. Looking at the teams that are starting to be announced, we saw the Korean one as well, which is essentially Dallas Fuel, Ad Finn, and Lip. So from last year, so you got Hanbin, Fearless, Sparkle, Chio Fielder, plus Finn and Lip. So it's a good roster, and I think the Chinese one is expected to be the Hangzhou Spark as well. So those three teams are expected to be the three powerhouses heading into BlizzCon, and it'll be awesome to see these guys square off against each other when we get to BlizzCon later in the year. So, talking Overwatch League news, the Shanghai Dragons and Moon have already made some changes to their roster before it's even begun. So, they have added Iris to the lineup. A lot of people were surprised Iris did not find a team heading into this season. He was obviously very solid. Every team that he's always played on deserves to be in this league. So, they've added Iris to this team, which a lot got memed off the bat because they then have like 4 flex supports at this point. But we found out later that unfortunately the DM flex god dream of him playing onto flex support is over. They've given up DM and cited that he's having personal health issues, which, sucks. I would never wish that on anybody. So hopefully DM can have a recovery and can get back into, competing at some point if that's what he wants to do. But unfortunately, we won't see that, which is obviously an upgrade for the Shanghai Dragons. Adding Iris, replacing DM, that removes a question mark that I had for this roster. Do I think this will pull them out of the hole that they're in? Probably not. I think they have a lot more question marks when they have Fleta tank, Gangnam Jin main support, all those types of issues. But, it's a step in the right direction at least. But we will have to see how they perform. I believe they're playing this upcoming weekend. Some other additions as well was for the New York Excelsior have finally talked about their coaching staff. So their coaching staff, Changoon and Amir are the combined head coaches. So Changoon, if you're not aware, he's been around since the beginning of time. He was the original Seoul Dynasty coach, has over the last couple of years has been the Hangzhou Spark coach. We've talked about him a lot on Plat Chat, and we've talked about the Changoon effect, where he sort of is off the goop a little bit, makes some interesting choices, especially with substitutions. So we'll see if that translates to this New York Excelsior roster, while Amir is a European coach that's been doing most recently for Team Peps and stuff like that. So interesting mix of a roster across the board in the coaching staff and within the roster. Are they going to be able to defy expectations? Because most of us have them at number 17, just sort of a struggling team. Even though they have some good pieces, the upside is hard to be seen right now, even if they are going to be better than your Vegas Eternals and your Los Angeles Valiants. But last but not least in the agenda for today, and this will be most of this video, is it's Pick'ems time. The Overwatch League has released Pick'ems. I know some of you were very nervous that they weren't going to be doing Pick'ems, but it is up on the Overwatch League Pick'ems website. If you want to go check those out, make sure you submit them. I don't know if there's any prizes for doing well, but it's all about glory and talking down to your friends and Twitch chat when you beat them inevitably in Pick'ems. So for my crystal ball, pick 2 teams from each region to advance to the spring stage. I think for me, I'm going to go with Atlanta Reign in the West. Second one's hard in the West. Yeah, so I should bring this up as well. Yiska did just release an article on GG Recon. You know, Yiska has his ear to the ground when it comes to Scrimbucks, and he sort of talked about where the Scrimbucks are at right now. For TLDR of what the meta is and stuff like that, and I'll try and put the link to that article in my YouTube chat. It should be, from what we've seen so far, it should be Winston Tracer Sombra being played a lot as like the basic staple, but there's a lot of different teams trying different things. You know, there is some Hanzo, Ashe being played if you want to play that hit scan. The Ramatra Rush will still be played on push and control from time to time. There might be some Sigma double sniper like we've seen on Circuit Royale and Junkertown. So pretty much what we were anticipating heading into this season, especially with the Cassidy nerfs. There is some rumors that probably the Dallas Fuel are making some weird stuff up in the APAC region, forcing a little bit of Xayah, maybe playing that Xayah Reaper style that they played in the kickoff clash last year when the Winston composition became quite prominent as well, because, you know, Dallas has some weaknesses in potentially being able to play that Tracer Sombra themselves. So with that in mind, I'm actually going to give it to the San Francisco Shock. The rumors in the Scrimbucks were saying that the Shock were struggling in the current meta with just like how difficult it has been with them traveling late, not being in the same place, only just getting their visas. But if we are in a Tracer Sombra meta, I actually think that's going to be quite good for the San Francisco Shock. I think they had the flexibility, and once they get a little bit more comfortable, I believe in the Shock to be able to play quite well. You know, obviously people nipping at their heels would be Houston Gladiators, Florida Mayhem as well. I think those are all going to be great teams, but I'm going to believe in the rookies for right now and give them a little bit of faith, as I did have Shock number 3 or well, number 2 in my power rankings as well. It'd be disingenuous to put them there. No, chat, I'm not putting Boston down there at number 2. And then in the East, I'm going to go, the rumors in the Scrimbucks actually were Soul Infernal is playing quite well. And that Soul Infernal is potentially one of the best teams in the East right now in Scrims, with MN3 and Zest absolutely popping off. But I'm going to give it to the Dallas Fuel. I think the Dallas Fuel, if they can make this Xayah composition work and other people are bending to their will, which we've seen a lot in the past, I think Dallas is going to be exceptional within that meta. If they can play Harmbin on that Xayah, if they can make that work around the place, I think that'll be good for the Dallas Fuel. I'm not going to buy into the Scrimbucks of Yiska for the Soul Infernal. I'm going to stick with my Hangzhou Spark boys. I think the only time in which Hangzhou Spark really struggle is if they just are not comfortable in the meta that ends up being played. But I believe in the shy, leave DPS power duo to be able to pull them across it. I knew it. Go Infernal, go. Unfortunately, I'm not sold just yet. But let's rapid fire through these predictions. Obviously, this is where all the fun starts to lie, because these are all good teams. We don't know what to expect, especially out of the meta. There's a lot of rumors, but nothing to really go off of. So Toronto Defiant versus the San Francisco Shock is a banger of a first match. Let's be clear. I think the San Francisco Shock have been playing some interesting Overwatch from what we saw in the Prime, but I think it should fit their wheelhouse if it is Tracer Sombra, while Toronto Defiant, I don't think that plays into their strengths as much. Even in the Prime, we saw them trying to play like Tracer Echo a lot, and I don't think that's going to work. So I'm going to go for the San Francisco Shock on this one. I think it's going to be close. I think Toronto is going to have a lot to prove, and they're going to have a chip on their shoulder. So I'm going to go 3-2 for the San Francisco Shock. Think they'll be able to squeak that one out, but I could see Toronto taking this one as well. They actually have a really cool thing here of like fan predictions where you'll be able to see like their previous records, their record for the current season, also what the fan predictions are right now. So if you haven't seen that, make sure to check that out. I don't know what this is. Use a double points boost. Oh, I'm not using it on this one. This one is too uncertain. Then we got the London Spitfire taking the Washington Justice. The rumors are that Washington's actually playing quite well and that London is struggling in scrims. And I could see it in this current meta. I think not allowing Sparker to play that hit scan and maybe them being pushed onto the wrong meta. But I'm honestly not that confident in Washington. But maybe the Yiska article is getting to me. I just don't think it's a good meta for London Spitfire. You only have 2 for the whole half season? Oh, okay, that is good to know. Thank you. I'm going to go London 3-2. I'm going to keep my doubting of the Washington Justice. I got to commit. I got to commit to it. Alpha probably fucks, but I have to put some faith in London. My fear is that London's going to come out and play... Like, if London comes out and plays, like, Lethal on the Tracer to try and match Alpha, I'm a little worried that it's not going to go their way. Maybe I actually go against London for this one. I think London's probably going to be better than Washington at the end of the year, but I actually think Washington might win this one. I actually think I'm going to go for Washington for this match in particular, especially with what Yiska said. Then we got Florida Mayhem taking on the Vancouver Titans. I think Florida will be better than Vancouver. I've talked about how I think Vancouver's going to be strong, but Florida's got a lot of momentum coming out of the prime, and I think they'll be solid in this meta. Atlanta Reign versus New York Excelsior. I think Atlanta's just going to be by far the better team, and New York is probably going to mirror what Atlanta's going to play. So I'm actually going to go 3-0 for Atlanta Reign. Atlanta was slated to be the best team in scrims right now in the Yiska article, so I'm going to double down on that thought process as well. This is where it gets interesting because we got the Los Angeles Gladiators taking on the Houston Outlaws, and I don't know if I'm perfectly confident in the Houston Outlaws in a Sombra Tracer meta. As much as they'll be good, are they better than the Gladiators? There's been some back and forth of who is going to play the Tracer and who's going to play the Sombra for the Gladiators. Personally, I expect Kevster to always be the Tracer player for the Gladiators over Yaki, and Yaki will be the Sombra player. And we saw that bits and pieces in their match in the Pro-Am. I remember Yaki playing Sombra on Hollywood at some point. So I think you got to give it to Yaki and Kevster. A part of me thinks the Gladiators are going to take this one. I'm worried in a Tracer Sombra meta that Houston Outlaws are going to be able to hang. And especially with the Gladiators playing the Ramatra better than the Outlaws in the Pro-Am. I think the Gladiators win 3-2, and I think the Gladiators win on map 5 playing the Ramatra Rush. And I think the Outlaws are going to struggle to beat it. Yeah, I think it's Kevs. I think Kevs is going to do Kevs the things here, and I think the Outlaws are going to be able to struggle to match it. As much as I have more confidence in Houston throughout the entire season, I like the way that the Gladiators were playing. And if the meta isn't changing dramatically, and they're able to play like Yaki on that Sombra, I think the Gladiators will be strong. If they go Winston, yeah, obviously Houston Outlaws win that Winston mirror, but we've just recently saw that the Gladiators knew had a way to deal with that, playing the Ramatra Rush. And that caught the Outlaws off guard last time. So I'm going to go for the Gladiators again in this matchup. Yeah, I'm going to go for that. Vancouver Titans versus the LA Valiant. I'm going 3. I'm going to go 3-0. I think Vancouver's going to come out with something to prove. Washington Justice versus Vegas Eternal. I'm going 3-0 as well for the Washington Justice. I don't really have faith in Valiant or Vegas right now. I think they're just going to get 3-0 across the board until I'm going to predict that until I see some upside of it. Boston Uprising versus New York Excelsior. This could be a surprisingly good match if the fear of Boston Uprising playing well is at an all-time high. Something that I don't think we've really talked about, especially with Boston Uprising, is who's the Sombra player of Boston? Birdring? Have we seen Birdring play Sombra? Striker probably. Decay, I think. Like, but Decay's kind of been their Tracer player. So unless they put Strike on the Tracer and move Decay to Sombra, I don't really know what to expect if we end up in that meta. And I think New York could be competitive at this level. Like, they have Fitz Sombra. Like, I think Fitz's Sombra is really good. So Glads with Kev on Tracer. Yeah, I'm trying to remember if it was good. But that was like so long ago. I don't know. I think I'm still going to give it to Boston just because of the quality of Boston's roster. But I'm going to go 3-1. I'm going to give New York a map. But I'm going to give it to Boston here, just through raw firepower. Then we got Atlanta Reign taking on the San Francisco Shock. I'm absolutely going for Atlanta Reign. I have a lot of faith in Atlanta in a Sombra composition. I think Lip is just world class at it, and if they can play the Sombra, like Atlanta already played probably too much Sombra in their Pro-Am matches, and it's one of the reasons I think they did go on to lose. But I think this is the Sombra composition only got stronger in this setup, and I think Shock will be competitive, but I'm going to go 3-1 to Atlanta over San Francisco Shock. Florida Mayhem versus Vegas Eternal, 3-0 to Florida for sure. This might almost be a double down. I'm actually gonna. This is a boost match. I don't think Vegas is gonna have any setup against this Florida Mayhem squad. I think Florida's not gonna fuck around. I don't see Florida dropping a map here. Boston Uprising versus London Spitfire. Man, dude. Boston's got some easy matches in the first weekend. I'm gonna go to map 5 though. I'm going for London. I think London is going to force rush against Boston, and I think this will be the beginning of the booming of the Boston Uprising. This is a wild take, but that's what my heart is telling me. I think especially if there's 2 control maps, 1 push, if London can just get to the 5th map, I think they have an advantage. Because I think London might play some weird shit. I think London's probably not going to try and mirror Boston, and I think that's going to hurt them in some of the maps, but... Oh, shit, you guys don't see it? Oh, sorry. Let's move this over here now. I'm going 3-2 for the London Spitfire. Custa, I am a known Boston hater, so this shouldn't come as a surprise. Then the Gladiators versus Toronto. I think this is going to be a good match as well. I think Toronto's going to lose a second match in map 5. I'm going to give it to the Gladiators. I think Toronto's going to be good, but I don't think they're going to be able to get over the Gladiators. I think Kevs is going to do Kevs the things. So, there's my predictions for the North American region. Right there. Let's go and talk over the east side then. Soul Infernal versus Soul Dynasty. Especially with Soul Infernal rumored to be doing quite well in scrims. I'm absolutely going for Soul Infernal. I'm going to go 3-1, but I think this could be a 3-0. Actually, I absolutely think this is going to be a 3-0. I think Soul, if we are in a weird meta, I think, maybe Soul play like the Xayah comp and it works, or like they play something weird and it works. But I'm absolutely going Soul Infernal. Guangzhou Charge versus Dallas Fuel. I think Charge isn't going to be able to match Dallas, but I'm going to give them a map. I don't think they're going to be able to match Dallas if Dallas is playing these weird Xayah comps. And the Shanghai Dragons versus Hangzhou Spark. I 3-0 for Hangzhou Spark. I don't think this is going to be close. I think Shanghai Dragons are scrambling to work out what they're currently doing. So I think East is pretty easy. You are right. I don't think there's any like really banger matches. This is like the top half of APAC versus the bottom half of APAC in my opinion. And that is... Oh, let me save my crystal ball picks as well. And that is my predictions for the first weekend of Overwatch League 2023. It is finally back where it's going to be upon us. Quick reminder, I'm going to be casting the Soul Infernal versus Soul Dynasty match that is happening this weekend for APAC. I believe I might be doing some random as NA game as well to just fill in a little bit. But for the most part, I'll be casting NA games throughout the season. But also a reminder, I'm going to be co-streaming games where I am not working. So I should be co-streaming for the Thursday matches and the Friday matches. So make sure to tune in for those if you guys want to, follow along the matches with me. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to have a lot more YouTube content coming out throughout, the next few months, especially with the Overwatch League coming back into full swing. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.